What's up, everybody? Welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Mosley, and that's the one, the only. It is Scott Savage. Scott, what's going on, man?
Oh, I have successfully cleared a bit of my weekend now for these games coming out. What a surprise that was.
Dude, there's always lots to play. And after last night's developer direct over at Xbox, we got a little surprise of something else to play. We might be checking that out as well. But right now, everybody should be checking us out at 11 a.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/theofficial ITG, as well as YouTube at the official ITG. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Dude, today's show, we recap the Xbox developer direct. Was it worth your time? We'll get into that. We have some bad news for Uncharted fans as Naughty Dog is moving on from the franchise. But what also does that mean for the future of The Last of Us? And Xbox returns to LA for a summer showcase. Sounds cool to me, man. How you down for that or what?
Definitely sounds good to me. I like the return of these showcases. And
I want one in person. Let's do some.
The Jeff Keighley's summer was really good.
Yeah, it was, dude. I'm excited. I'm glad to see that they're back. I always like a good showcase. So yeah, we did one down in Toronto. It was a ton of fun. So we'll see if we go again this year.
I'll certainly accept any sort of tickets if we can go down there. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun last year. So, yeah, we'll probably be going this year if it is around again when we get asked. So, yeah, we definitely love to join them once more. Dude, let's get into it. Yesterday was a big day for Xbox. They announced 4 games. The one was leaked. Surprise. Which was funny because they even mentioned in the direct, yeah, hopefully this hasn't been leaked. I'm like, well, sorry. It was. Like, that's kind of how it went. But yeah, we got into the Xbox Direct, and that was the developer direct where we kind of got some nitty gritty details on some of the games that they are bringing out, and kind of excited for some of them and not so much for some others. That's just my personal play style, really, more than anything else. I thought what they did showcase though was really good. It's just not my preferred game, if that makes sense, right? Like I'm not a Forza Motorsport guy. We saw a lot on that yesterday. So here's what we did see. Minecraft Legends, Forza Motorsport, Tango Gameworks came out with Hi-Fi Rush, what we covered yesterday as the leak was revealed also. Elder Scrolls Online, they get the new Necrom class, which was exciting to see, and Redfall. Scott, what was your overall impressions of the Direct?
I think the pacing, that's something that I pay attention to a lot. I think the pacing of this actual showcase was really clean. They didn't kind of lull in the middle too much. Your preferences might have led you away from Forza, but other than just a little skip like that, everything seemed to go off clean without a hitch. If that game hadn't been leaked, then it would have been even more impactful.
No, for sure. Like leaks always have the impact on the showcase, right? When a leak comes out, I'm like, oh man, like this is the sad part of what we do because we cover that stuff. And at the same time, I want that impact. I want that surprise. I want that, oh, cool, man. I didn't see that one coming, right? It's one of those things. Minecraft Legends actually kind of has me a bit interested. I was shocked to see that. Overall, though, when we do talk about pacing, I think it was like 5 minutes on to the next one. 5 minutes on, like they didn't linger, like you say, right? They weren't lingering around too long with anything at all. And it was just enough of the showcase of that particular game, and then moved on to the next one. And then you kind of get a little bit of info on that one, and then you moved. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was well put together. And we didn't get a lull in the middle. Again, going back to the games overall, dude, none of these games really particularly speak to me. Like we'll try out this one, and I'll try out that one, and I'll try, but none of them have me like, holy, do I need to play this particular game? Was there anything in the showcase that really stood out to you?
That is something I feel for Hi-Fi Rush, actually. I need to play that game. It is currently on the Xbox. I didn't get to play it last night, however, but it gives me the Sunset Overdrive vibe that I haven't seen since I played that game, and I love it. And a little bit like Jet Set Radio Future. It's got that kind of funk to it.
Yeah. No, Brad's in here joining us in Twitch, and he says he had zero expectations going in yesterday. When you know what games you're going to get into, you kind of wonder what else is going to be there for a surprise. But he did like the look of Hi-Fi Rush. And again, that one I thought looked interesting, but it's not one I'm going to sit there and go, man, I can't wait to play that. And that's what I want to get into. Yeah, he also touches on, like, there was no that, holy, here's God of War experience, right? Like, this is what we're going to showcase you for this. If you're an Elder Scrolls fan, I think you're in for one heck of a game. Like, there was so much content in that game, Scott.
Yeah.
It was insane to see. They're like, yeah, we have all this. It's just like, you don't need to play anything else. If you play Elder Scrolls, your year is gone.
Absolutely. Yeah, they have just smashed the MMO genre out of the park with all of their content over the years now. I think they had stated there was 20 DLC chapters that are offered now for free. So if you jump in now, you can get started on all of that without having to grind forever. But they've added to Morrowind what's called the Necrom chapter. So that brings with it an Arcanist, a new kind of class, and a whole lot of weapons, a whole lot of new quests, side quests, arenas, all of that.
Which is cool, right? If you're into that, you're going to get some fantastic content that's going to just keep you going, keep you coming back for more. When we talked about these games, dude, you talk about a game of service. ESO's got it nailed, right? Like, they just keep their community going. They have one of the best communities around that are just so engaged and just so hungry for the next part. And then they just keep going and going. There's just so much in that world. And again, I love to see a graphical update in that game to take it to here's next gen. Like,
that was one takeaway, yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of going, oof, man, I feel like I'm on 360 days here still. So
no, it did release after that, so that's a bit puzzling. Even on release, it didn't quite have that look. But then again, I feel like it almost stumbles over itself there because the cinematic rendering of those games are amazing.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. Now we are at a level with next gen consoles or current gen, whatever we want to call these now. Like, we are 2 years in, I guess. So it is one of those things, what you see in a cinematic is what you can see in the game. Like, dude, when you play God of War, that is what you play. Like, that is that simple, right? Like, that's how that goes. And I'm kind of expecting that, especially now, too, with the ESO being around for so long. They've got one heck of an update to do if they're going to do all of that work. I get it. That is a ton of work, but that would really elevate that to the next level. It would be nice to see. Dude, we did see some Forza. I'm not a gearhead whatsoever. I'm way more of an arcade racer. So the
Yeah.
stuff they did showcase, though, I was like, yo, look at this. They're talking about ray tracing. They're talking about, you can see pixels within pixels, right? Like, it's just, holy.
The part that got me was the looking over some kind of a blue paint, and you can see the speckling underneath the blue, and it's something I haven't seen since my father owned an Oldsmobile. But I have to say again, can it get much better than this? I feel like the game industry has been saying that for at least 20 years, but
yeah,
really though, how much further could it get?
But in turn it does, right? I still don't see like a story mode. Granted, I'm not a big Forza motorsport guy, so help me out if there is a story mode, but I don't really think there is. And you're just out there doing the races, which, if some people absolutely adore and love, but in me, I need a story to kind of help pull me in. We'll be checking it out. Yeah, that's what we do. We were definitely probably going to take a look at this game. We'll see how it goes. I'm probably not going to review this one. Not this time, Scott. I was on the last one, and I've been on a couple. No, I'm not. I'm a little raced out, I think, at this point. So we'll let somebody else take over and give that a shot and see how it goes for them. But yeah, if you want to talk about, it's funny because when they launch a new console, dude, they always show Forza, right? Like, this is how pretty it looks now, and like the damage and the dirt and the grime that everything kind of sticks to the cars, and
the weather system.
Oh, so cool. Very cool, man, but it's just not for me.
Well, that's fair. Can't be all for everybody. Redfall, however, I think is exactly a good example of that. I'm very excited for Redfall, and I think you are less so, but that's just due to preference. And on my part, I can think, if they show off too much more of this game, I'm going to lose a bit of that steam.
Well, I think that's what I'm like, okay, they're showing more Redfall. Like, we've already seen so much. And again, what they showcased yesterday at the event, I thought was great. I thought it gave you a little bit more insight of what you're going to be doing around the world within Redfall, and what your activities will look like. And, some of these hearts you got to take out, and the vampires, dude, it's just not for me. At the end of the day, I'm like, yo, I just want more Dishonored. I know it's not coming. I get it, right? You've now gone from Dishonored to Deathloop to now Redfall we'll see what comes out next. But for me, it's just not, dude, it's too creepy. At one point, we're watching the stream yesterday, and Vampire jumped, and I jumped. I was like, man, I can't even watch this show.
Yep, there it is.
I laughed. It was, it caught me completely off guard, and it's just one of those things. No, I think the game looks cool. Like, I know Kyle's looking kind of forward to playing it. I know you're pumped. I know Steve is excited to jump into this. So you and Steve will be checking out this for the show, I'm sure. And it's just one of those things. I think Redfall is going to connect with a bunch of people. It's just, again, one of those not my style, right? So
I was hoping, just out of the presentation, I was hoping for a little bit more of like an Easter egg, like a tip towards maybe some vampire movies that are classics. Interview with the Vampire, The Lost Boys, one of those kind of. Who knows what I'm going to dig up when I get in there? But I was just hoping for a little bit of a tip like that, since we've seen so much about the game.
So did you come away impressed yesterday or exhausted on gameplay?
Overall, or just with Redfall?
With Redfall.
I'm a little fatigued now from seeing too much.
Right?
It's missing a bit of that allure, that mystery. I appreciated when they specified this is not going to be Back 4 Blood. This is not going to be Left 4 Dead. I appreciated that, but now I feel like I know too much.
Yeah, right? Yeah, so I guess we'll see in the end. We did get an actual release date, too, of May 2nd, which was great to finally see, okay, this is when we're getting it. So if we're getting that, then, Scott, the other question is, when are we getting Starfield?
That's the burning question.
Right? Like, that's the one I'm looking forward to jumping into, going, okay, where's this? Where's that showcase now come around? I don't think we'll get it next week, but we're going to get it hopefully sometime soon, because we're supposed to get Starfield within the first 6 months of 2023. Whether or not that happens, we've heard rumors of that changed, right? Yeah, exactly. So maybe sometime in the summer we'll see Starfield. We will see what happens. Of course, we'll keep you updated. Scott, I want to move into the world of Naughty Dog, as they say they've moved on from Uncharted and could do the same with The Last of Us.
Ooh,
Ow. right?
just as I get my foot in the door with Uncharted.
The rug is just, dude, you do have 4 games to play, right? Like, it's not like you
That's true.
yeah. Tom Ivan over at VGC had this to say. Naughty Dog co-president Neil Druckmann has said the studio has, quote, moved on, end quote, from the Uncharted series and could do the same with The Last of Us should it decide not to proceed with the third mainline series entry. Dude, dude, I'm like, I'm almost speechless. Okay, here's the thing. I think Naughty Dog is moving on from Uncharted. I think somebody else within PlayStation Studios is taking over. I don't think we're going to see the end of Uncharted. I think we're going to see the end of Naughty Dog's interpretation of Uncharted. Now, for The Last of Us, though, yeah, we'll get into the rest of the conversation here, because The Last of Us series has sold over 37 million copies since its debut in 2013 and currently in the spotlight thanks to the successful launch of the HBO TV adaptation this month. Naughty Dog is also developing a standalone Last of Us multiplayer game, which I cannot wait for, man. Come on, I want to see more of that, which will include its own story and a new cast of characters. Despite the franchise's commercial and critical success, Druckmann has claimed that Naughty Dog's parent company, Sony, wouldn't pressure the company into continuing the story of Ellie and Abby that was told in 2020's The Last of Us Part 2. Interesting, right? I do love the fact that Sony gives Naughty Dog the freedom to do what they want to do, right? Allow them to tell whatever they feel creative behind and have that kind of, ooh, here, I have this idea. Why don't we work on this instead of being forced to, okay, you know what? Last of Us 1 and 2 was fantastic. It did these numbers, so you guys need to do a third one and get it done, right? And they're not doing that.
Yeah. Like, it's a little less inspiring. No, they say nothing's as inspiring as money, but when you hit kind of milestones like that, well, do you need the extra cash if you're Naughty Dog?
No, right? It's just one of those things. From a creative perspective, are you exhausted now doing Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2? Neil says he has like a concept story of Part 3 in the back of his head. Whether or not it's on paper yet, we don't know. But it's one of those things that, dude, there is an opportunity here to tell more of a story behind The Last of Us. There's a lot of questions still that I'm kind of going, okay, what if they did this? Or what about Abby? What if they did a whole side story, right? Now we're getting in this.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of things they could tie into. Quote, I know there's a bunch of people wondering about The Last of Us Part 3 and whether that will be a thing or not, he said. All I could say is that Naughty Dog, we're very, very privileged that our publisher is Sony, which means Sony funds our game, supports us, and we're owned by Sony. They have supported us every step of the way to follow our passions, meaning that just because something was successful, people think there's all this pressure and we have to make a sequel. That's not the case. For us, Uncharted was insanely successful. Uncharted 4 was one of our best-selling games, and we're able to put our final brushstroke on the story and say that we're done, moving on. Likewise, with The Last of Us, it's up to us whether we want to continue it or not. Oh, dude. Whoa. It's one of those things, right? It's like, as a fan, I want to see them continue. I want to see them go back to Uncharted. What I want to see them do is go back to Jack and Daxter. But that's a whole...
Hey, maybe that's what this conversation is really talking about.
I doubt it, but
could take a few years off these major IPs and go back to another one. That would be exciting. But do you think, in terms of Last of Us, or Uncharted for that matter, do you think they've kind of done all they could do without falling to sequelitis? Because I don't know if you want just more of the same, or perhaps that is exactly what you want.
Well, so we've seen the remakes come out too, right? You get the Nathan Drake collection, you got the the Legacy collection. You've seen all these collections come along for Uncharted. And you're like, I think I'm good. Honestly, at this point, I think I'm good. Is there a chance for more story for Uncharted? Absolutely. But again, I think for Naughty Dog, they're like, we've told our story. We're done for there. Do I think they're done with The Last of Us? No, I really don't. I think we'll see the third one. But I think what we're going to see from Naughty Dog first is something else. I think we're going to get a brand new IP and then come back to the third one. They're going to start alternating, just how they did with Uncharted, and then go to The Last of Us. I think now they've taken over with The Last of Us, going to bring in a new IP, and then go back to The Last of Us. I think that's kind of the rotation now they're going to spin off of. And then while they're working on this one, maybe Neil and whoever the writing team is over there at Naughty Dog kind of spin up a couple more ideas of where they want to take The Last of Us for part 3. And in the meantime, keep us going, though, with the multiplayer side. Like, dude, there's a lot going on over at Naughty Dog. I don't doubt that they are not busy whatsoever. They got a lot on their plate. And I can only imagine, I'd love to be a fly in the wall, see what they're cooking up over there, right? But yeah, it's exciting times for Naughty Dog, even if they are choosing to move on. Whether it's a new IP, I think was set in is it a fantasy setting I think they're talking about? Is last I heard.
I think I remember that, actually.
Right?
Yeah, I remember that coming up.
Dude, that's like a whole other realm of where their head is at over here at the studio. They've gone, okay, we've done the Uncharted thing, somewhat grounded. We've done The Last of Us. Yeah, it's zombies or clickers and this, that, and the other, but still somewhat grounded, right? Now let's take it up a whole notch. And where do they take that to if you're going into fantasy? But who knows?
Oh, and their storytelling is just unmatched from my understanding. So yeah, any sort of medium, any sort of other direction they could go, I think is going to be great for them.
Absolutely. I think it's very exciting to see. So yeah, we'll wait with bated breath to see what they have to say next. Scott, let's move on as Xbox confirms it will return to LA with the summer showcase this year. Andy Robinson over at VGC summarizing its developer direct digital event in a blog post on Wednesday. The company wrote, quote, "As we announced previously, in order to dedicate the proper amount of time for a deep dive into Bethesda Game Studios Starfield, a standalone showcase is in the works. In addition to this, our teams are working hard and look forward to sharing even more of what is next for our fans when we return to LA for our yearly showcase this summer." Dude, it's so exciting. Do we get the Starfield showcase separately, or is that tied into this summer showcase?
I had heard previous to this that it would be its own showcase specifically, but I'm not sure if that treads into the PlayStation State of Play kind of thing, where they get you here's a huge focus, and then at the end they give you another 20 minutes or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping for that, but then the major things that I want to see are not scheduled for quite some time. Fable being the main one. Perfect Dark being the tied for first, really.
It's what I want: a Starfield showcase, and then I want the the summer showcase for Xbox, the Xbox Bethesda showcase, to be a whole separate thing, right? I want to see something completely new. I want to see what else do they have in store for us. We already know Starfield is there. We already know Starfield's coming. I don't think we're gonna get this as tied into the whole showcase. I think it's gonna have its own thing to say, hey, look, we've shown you, what is it, 15 minutes of footage of Starfield? That's not even remotely close what we need to show you to understand what you're really going to be doing here, right? We know there's factions you're going to be working with. Go ahead, Scott.
If we get the Redfall treatment, I would not complain about that in this case, because it's just a game that's just so large to me.
Well, I think that's the thing, right? Where I think Redfall is a much more contained IP. I think it's going to be a lot smaller. I think you're going to have a ton of fun be somewhere around like 20, 30 hours, perhaps, give or take, right? Made from the ground up for single player or co-op, which is exciting to see. Where Starfield is, we're getting into this multi-universe sprawling adventure that is going to be hundreds of hours, right? You're not going to be sitting there going, here's story A, B or A to B, and then you're done. Not granted, Redfall's not like that either. You do have your own ability to go around and kind of take out your story the way you want. But again, by the time you wrap it all up, I think you're probably in around the 30-hour mark. I'm guessing. But for Starfield, because it is so grandeur and it's so massive, dude, the landscape of that game is massive. And people just don't know what exactly we're into yet. I think that's the biggest thing. We have so many questions now for Starfield. What are we doing? They did showcase how you can make your ship. Dude, that looks dope. I like that. Looks
exciting.
That looks so cool, right? I love customizing stuff. And if I can go out there and get specific things that I need to kind of make my ship myself, dude, I'm down for that. And yeah, then there's the story side of it too. What is the story? Give us more details on that.
Yeah.
These factions that are out in the world, and you can side with some and you can not side with others, and those others will maybe not kind of take so kindly to you. Like, what does all that look like? There's a lot to unpack, I think, with moving into Starfield's release and upcoming, adventure that we need to know a lot more, and hopefully we get a lot more of these showcases leading into it, like we had with Redfall, where I think Redfall, now we're done. Like, we don't need to see anymore. Just give us the game.
Yeah, no, there's almost a negative effect now if we see too much.
Yeah, how much is too much, right? And I think Redfall, if they do another showcase and show us Redfall, I'm like, whew, you're exhausted.
Yeah,
you might as well just play the game for us. So,
oh, Starfield has me so excited. I hope they hit
right?
somewhere, anything like the Elder Scrolls. Maybe there is a main mission you can, do a through line through it, and that's fine. But the overall universe and stumbling your way around it—that's what makes Fallout and Elder Scrolls so much fun. Elden Ring, incidentally enough, too. Slip of the tongue.
Scott, I want to get in one last one here real quick, because I know you're really excited for it. Is that Atomic Heart has officially gone gold? This is David over at PSU. Atomic Heart has officially gone gold less than a month ahead of its release. The new action game from developer Mundfish, yeah, is set to release on February 21st, 2023. Scott, how excited are you?
This is one I've been looking on for a while now. Ever since it was teased, and I thought, what am I even looking at? But it gave me that kind of hook, and now I'm super excited.
That's cool.
I've seen it talked about as like a Soviet era Fallout, and I think that's kind of maybe pointing it in the wrong direction. I don't want to get my hopes up too much now.
Well, Scott, we do have a couple games out today, my friend. What do we have?
We have Devolver Tumble Time on the iOS and Android operating systems. We have Grund, or perhaps Grund, on PC, on Steam, and the GOG.com. Don't see that very often anymore, actually.
No.
And Hitman: The World of Assassination update has released today. That's on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, XS, Switch, and PC. Switch is puzzling there for me.
I don't know about the Switch. We'll see. Maybe it's through the cloud. I have no idea what they're doing there. Dude, Gruden looks kind of cool. Definitely excited for Hitman. The freelancer mode is I'm about to jump into after the show. That's where I'm heading next. Like, that's my... Yeah. I've been waiting all week. I've been playing all week to kind of get into prep for this, because, dude, I cannot wait. The world of Hitman is so cool. I absolutely adore it. It's just one of those things, man. I've been waiting for freelancer for a while, and it's finally here today, and I'm updated and ready to roll. So I'll report back next week and how that goes. But Scott, just like that, my friend, this has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. Thank you for hanging out with us as always. You can join us live over on Twitch and YouTube at the official ITG. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Until tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew, that's Scott, and we'll see you inside the game.